Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast, part 2 of Friday's picks coming your way right now. Let's get right into it. You already saw, hopefully, the other video, so you know how we did last night, which was not great. Lost 1.2 units, but we are aiming to win it back. I'll go through the previous bets that we had as well for you here in just a second, but let's get into the ones that I have for you right now. Nikola Jokic over 25 plus points, and Denver money line in a same game parlay plus 123 on FanDuel there, going to full unit. This is my favorite one of the second round of bets here. It's just Jokic versus Joval. It's Jokic versus a good team. This is not going to be a blowout the way that Denver's had a few wins in the blowout side, as well as a couple losses on the blowout side, including that one to the Thunder not that long ago that really cost them a lot in the standings. But we'll move past that. This is another, actually, that was the only game that he went under against a good team recently, was against the Thunder. So it is the one outlier, because if you look at the other games where he's, going over in the last 10 or so, against Utah, which ended up being a good game with good centers, Walker Kessler, obviously, Orlando, Golden State, they lost the Orlando game, Golden State, Memphis, Brooklyn, right? Either good centers or close game, right? No good center in there for Golden State necessarily, or even necessarily for Brooklyn with Nick Claxton trying to guard him down low, which gives a lot of weight up. But every other in those games, they were close if he wasn't playing a good center. So now he's playing a good center, and I think they're going to be close. And he likes to beat up on Joval. He's gone over in 16 straight versus the Pellies. He's gone over in 13 straight versus Joval, regardless of which team he's on when he's playing him. So that dates all the way back to like 2019 or 17 or whatever it is. But he has not gone under 25 points in a long time to Jonas Valanciunas, like since it was his first 3 to 4 years in the league for Joker. That is the last time that he went under versus Joval. So we're going to continue to go over with him on that. New Orleans is continuing to allow points to centers, the 9th most specifically. So we do love that number there for Jokic. And really, he transcends any kind of numbers like that. It's really just is he going for it? Is it a situation that you trust in him to score? And he's pretty easy to project in terms of when he's looking to score and when he's not. And it's not necessarily even if he's home or away. It's just, is this a close game? And can I afford to rely on others rather than myself as always the best option? So we'd love him to get 25 in this. It's 25.5 as his point prop. I don't hate over that if you want to go for it as well. It's nice because he hasn't been doing this that often, to be honest with you. And I think there's some pretty good reasoning to indicate that he is going to do it in this one. So I like the value that we get there. Second bet here is from the same game. It's 0.75 units because I did the math and I don't want to spend more than roughly like 5 to 6 that I'm spending today already. But Aaron Gordon at 5.5, I had to get in on the rebounds because it's a similar situation to Nikola Jokic. If he has someone to bang with down low and he needs to try, then he's going to. If he sort of felt left without an enemy to fight, if you will, because he's playing guys that are playing out on the perimeter. A lot of teams nowadays, well, a good number of teams anyway, are playing stretch power forwards who aren't really even interested in rebounding on the offensive side of the ball, and at times aren't even responsible as much for the defensive side of the ball. So he hasn't had, in a few games, he hasn't had anybody to go against, or it's been a blowout like what he did versus Detroit. That's why we get the value from these 2 recent unders. One was against Detroit. One was an under versus Utah, who is the second best rebounding team in the league and limits power forwards to like the 7th fewest rebounds per game. Now he's going up against the Pellies. He's going to have someone to bang with. If it's not Zion Williamson in this one, then there's going to be plenty of other long and strong wings down low and power forwards, really, that Aaron Gordon is going to be down low with. So with that in mind, that's why he's able to come in and get rebounds, especially because Jokic is banging bodies with Jonas Valanciunas. So that does leave a lane open for him to come in and get defensive boards. Also think the offensive boards will be there a bit. Both of these teams are very good rebounding teams overall between the Pelicans and the Nuggets. But in Denver, I do think that the advantage lies with the Nuggets, where, especially with Aaron Gordon, where he records more rebounds at home than he does on the road. And it's also because their defense is better at home than it is on the road. So it forces more misses, right? That's why we look at the volume of the opportunities, and rebound chances are higher for him at home, in part because, like I said, their defense is better, forcing more misses. So we'll put 3/4 of unit on him there. My underplay of the day, I don't know that I'll be able to get out a social media video because I also have another podcast to record for about the NFL on Bankroll Blitz, which I should promote here too. Also should promote you guys to subscribe to the page. I just do it when I remember within the video. So if you would do that, also leave a bunch of comments. If you're still watching and want like what you see, I'd love to hear it. If you don't like what you see, let me know. Talk shit on the Kyrie Irving bet that I made last night, which was under 43.5 PRA, and he had 44 points. I'm here for it all. Like, I'm here for all the engagement because this is a fun conversation. That's why we do this shit. All right, so we'll get into the Paolo bet. Under 27.5 points. It's available at 26.5 for way better juice. Not better enough that I don't like just taking the minus 130 for a full unit and getting an extra point there for him to go under 27.5. He's gone under in 4 straight versus this Heat team. And this Heat team is playing without Jimmy. And I know that. But the last time that they played this Heat team, he also didn't play Jimmy Butler. And that would be maybe who you think would be guarding Paolo Banchero. But now it's Jaime Jaquez Jr., the real Triple J, as I keep calling him, who's putting the clamps last game in their first meeting ever against each other against Paolo. And a part of why he was able to do that was limiting Paolo's free throws. He has had a game where he had a lot of free throws against this Miami Heat team, and he still only scored 19 points, right? So that's why we still feel good, even if he's getting a decent amount of free throws in this one. I don't think that he's going to be open anywhere else on the floor other than when he's at the free throw line, right? So with the way that Jaquez guarded him in the post was incredible. And then you have Bam right behind him, who is going to be playing in this game. And this team has won 9 of its last 12 games with Bam at home. So I wouldn't mind the money line parlay here for the Heat with the Paolo under. My co-host on the Coast to Coast show on the lines.com YouTube channel. That's a mouthful. I have a show there every day with him as well during the week. And he likes this bet a lot, pointed me towards it. And then I kept looking at it and was like, yeah, I think we're getting some value because not only is he playing without Franz Wagner, he's playing in a game where, like I said, it's just not a good matchup for him, right? So I think we'll continue to take unders for him in these types of games rather than overs, because even without Franz, it's like he doesn't have much help right now on the offensive end. I also know a very smart man by the name of Prop Beaver. If you want to follow him on Twitter, at Prop Beaver, he puts out plays every day on Twitter and is on a great show with Kyle Kerms. And he also likes Paolo over on assists because that's what Miami forces him to do. Point being, they force the ball out of his hands. So that's why I like under on the points. He likes over on the assists. And I can see both happening, but I don't want to have to rely once again on Magic players outside of Paolo to hit their their shots when he passes them the ball. So we'll stick to the points under here. And then we've got Nikola Vucevic, who I talked about in the first video, which definitely want to make sure that you're subscribed to the page so you're also easily able to get that other video that I put out last night with 3 early bets based on the lines that we had on Thursday late night. But I took Vooch over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists there, and I'm taking him for 15 plus points with the Chicago money line in this one, plus 116 on DraftKings. I'm putting a half a unit on it because I already have a half a unit on him with the PRA, and that actually has gone up, I believe, to 32.5. So by the time you're seeing this, you probably don't have Vooch at 31.5 PRA to get over. But this is actually a bet I kind of like even more because we get the plus 116, and I always liked the points for him more than anything against this Golden State Warriors team tonight. He's a killer against the Warriors, and this is the same slide I put in the other video, but in case you missed it, it's all still relevant here. His last 4 versus the Dubs, 26.5 a game, 12 boards and 4 assists. And they are giving up, like I said, the Dubs 6 most points per game to centers. They're pretty good at rebounding. They also give up the most assists. That's why I threw in the PRA alongside the rebounds. Word of caution to the assists. He's gotten 4 assists per game on 6 potential assists in his last 10 games. To repeat myself, potential assists, when you see that number, you would expect that the actual assists that materialize from it are about at 50 to 55%. And right, like the 4 out of 6 is much better than the 55% that I'm talking about here. So it's a bit of an anomaly for Vooch on these assists. At the same time, he's probably finding a lot of open guys. They're shooting well. LaVine is back. We'll see how it goes. But I still like the points with LaVine back as the last point because that hasn't been the case in the last 3 games since Zach LaVine has returned from injury. He hasn't really eaten into Vooch's usage at all. Vooch is still the second highest usage on the team since then, behind Kobe White, La Flama Blanca. And shout out my homie who hit me up in the first video from last night that has 3 picks for today as well. And he was talking about Kobe White stats. I think he's a fellow Knicks fan, but he was asking about Kobe White stats. And I didn't find anything that I loved there. And there's still not a ton for me with Kobe White on this one because I don't know how Zach LaVine is going to impact it. I mean, he's had the highest usage, since Zach LaVine got back. But if Zach LaVine's usage increases, I don't think it eats into Vooch's as much as it eats into Kobe White. So I stayed away from him on that one, but it's not a bad bet. We'll see how it goes. Let's finish it off here with, unfortunately, what's only kind of a lean right now because you can see all these red stop sign octagons looking things telling you to proceed with caution. I couldn't get the caution emoji up here for you, so I had to use this one to let you know that I love these 2 bets here for Naz Reid, over 10.5 points, 15 plus points as the little ladder there. And just to explain once more for those of you who may not know, because I had someone ask me recently, a ladder is based on the fact that Naz Reid has a core line of 10.5 points, which, by the way, I am projecting. I don't know if he's going to have that yet because there are no lines out for him yet, because Rudy Gobert is still questionable, although I don't know if he'll play that much, even if he does play Rudy Gobert, because they're playing the Trailblazers and they suck. We'll get into that in a minute. A ladder here is that when it comes out, I'm projecting it to be a 10.5 point line for his points for Naz Reid, right? Well, there's also going to be what's called an alternative line that will be available on certain books, hopefully, that will say if you think that Naz Reid is going to score 15 more points, we'll allow you to bet on that, and you'll get way better juice if he does that, right? So it'll probably be, let's say, plus 200 on your bet if you bet him to get 15 or more points. Now, they're not going to give you, sometimes some books give you an under on an alt bet, and you can be like, oh, I think he's going to go under 15 points, but then they're going to give you minus 400 on that or whatever. And that's really only like DraftKings that I've ever seen do over under alt lines, as opposed to just alt lines for the over. Hopefully that makes sense. But this is the ladder because we're taking the core bet at 10.5 and the 15 plus points for slightly less money. That would be a ladder bet. Once again, wait to see if Rudy is playing. I like if Rudy plays, this is another scenario where I think the backups are in for a big game, like I thought with the Thunder. Although Daigneault didn't take out his starters until the middle of the third quarter, and they were up by 50 points. Unbelievable. And it's still, our Chet Holmgren bet still hit because of the under there, but that meant that some of the backups didn't get minutes at all. Kayson Wallace didn't even end up playing because they were like, sorry, Kayson, you're not good enough to get real minutes in the first, the starter and real first rotation, but you are good enough to get minutes with the bad rotation, but not enough minutes once they start blowing him out because they need him. So he's like right in this in between of, so that's why Kayson Wallace didn't hit if you guys bet on him on that one. Sorry for that lean. But this one, no matter what, Naz Reid's getting minutes if, Rudy plays. Naz Reid is getting even more minutes if he doesn't. And Rudy's questionable, and even if he plays, like I said, no reason to keep him in there. DeAndre Ayton, once again, not playing for Portland. They're on a back-to-back after a historic loss against the Thunder backups, giving up 139 points. This pace should speed up when you see Naz Reid in there and Rudy not, because with Rudy in there, their pace is much slower, and their offensive rating is worse as well, because it's worth it to keep him on the floor with the defense, as he's looking at maybe first-team defense, all defense this season. So, anyway, Naz Reid, we love him with or without him. His line has been anywhere from 9.5 to like 11.5 points. I would take this at 11.5, but and it might be at 11.5 if Rudy's not playing. But like I said, if Rudy's not playing and it's at 11.5, still love it. Hit me up in the comments if you have questions. That's all the time I got for you guys. But hit me up in the comments if you have questions about this. I'm down to answer anything from, would you play this to why do you like that or whatever. Like, I'm here for all of it. So we can talk about it if you ask me questions about it. But this is the summary for right now, these bets. Nikola Jokic, 25 plus with the Denver money line. Aaron Gordon over 5.5 boards. Paolo Banchero under 27.5 points. Nikola Vucevic, 15 plus points, parlayed with the Chicago money line. That gets you plus 116 on DraftKings. Naz Reid, if no Rudy, as you can see, over 10.5 points for 1 unit. And if no Rudy, 15 plus points for half a unit. For those of you that are going to ask me, if Rudy plays, I still would hit Naz Reid's over points. It should be at 9 or 10.5 if Rudy plays. Go ahead and feel good about it as soon as books stop being cowards and get us that bet. Here's the bets from earlier for those of you who didn't see the other video, because I'm nice and not even making you watch it. But I would heavily appreciate if you turned it on and liked it, because that really helps me in what I'm trying to do here with you guys and bring you these free videos each and every day on YouTube. So Jalen Johnson over 25.5 PR, points and rebounds combined. Steph Curry under 27.5 points for Steph in that one versus Chicago. And Vooch over 31.5 PRA, which I mentioned, is minus 125. You probably will see it at 32.5 by the time you're seeing, if you're just now seeing this and you're going to go to the other video where it says 31.5 PRA, it's probably gone, but 32.5 PRA doesn't bother me. Just go ahead and hit the 15 plus with the Chicago money line at this point. That's my favorite bet, much preferred over his other stuff. And if you get that, you get good juice. I would have put a full unit on it if I didn't just feel the need to put a half a unit on his PRA last night. And I don't like to give you guys bets that I haven't already put a bet in before I give it to you, because one, maybe it moves the line, no offense, and two, it wouldn't feel right. Like, I'm not going to tell you about something, etc. You get what I'm saying? That is all the time that I have for you guys in this one, and I appreciate you all following along and continuing to kick it with me here. Hit me up here. Follow along on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Land Your Bets, because that's also where you're going to get more updated stuff from me as we get closer and closer to game time each and every day that I'm bringing you these videos. So best of luck. And until I see you next, happy betting.